If I could do it without knocking the camera over. Oh, or without dropping the staple. Ah, where'd it go? Hey there, YouTubers! Me again! Today, we're gonna try to figure out what the heck is going on with my C4 Corvette. Decided to take it for a drive the other day. Went to go past the truck. I got behind a slowpoke. Happens, you know. And these are country roads. No place to pass. So when you see that dotted line that lets you go past, you're hitting on the old throttle. Make it go fast pedal. Well, normally I hit that pedal with this thing and boom, she's gone, right? It's just downshifts and it's a great, and it sounds awesome. Well, I went to go past this truck and I stomp on the gas pedal and she falls on her face. What the heck? So I let it off and it takes back off. So I start to pass him and then it starts to fall on its face again. So I'm feathering the pedal to make it go faster, and it's not. So, embarrassingly so, I get right next to the guy, and I'm looking over at him, and he's looking over at me, and he's like, what the heck are you doing? And I'm thinking to myself, what the heck am I doing? Why am I not passing this guy? So I had to fall back. Very embarrassing, to be honest with you. Fall behind the guy, get behind him, and start doing this with the old gas pedal, and it's you like those sound effects? Gotcha. Anyway, what the heck? This car's always starts on a dime, runs beautiful. She's smooth as silk driving. I love driving this car. It's probably the most pleasurable car I own to drive. The Beamer's nice, but it's small and it's noisy. You know, you can hear the road, you know, because you're sitting on it. This thing's quiet going out. I mean, you can hear the exhaust, but it's an awesome sound. It's like, whoa, you know, with that nice rumble going down the road. But it isn't loud. It's just nice. It's got a nice tone. It's a wonderful car to drive. Handles like a dream. You know, turn that wheel and she's just love it. Feels so stable. Never even had it feel like it's going to come loose on me yet. Of course, I don't really do much over 100 on these roads. But did I just say that out loud? Hopefully, there's no law enforcement officers watching. Sorry, guys. Anyhow, it usually runs like a top. This car is, if I was thought about doing power tour. Now, a lot of you may or may not know what that is, and I've only kind of recently heard about it myself. I thought this would be the car I'd take, because it is the most dependable vehicle. But not now. Now, I take it for a short drive. Now, I can unhook the battery and hook the battery back up. And it will run good for, you know, a few minutes. And then it'll start doing it over and it throws a code. That old check engine light comes on, you know. And so I did a little bit of researching. YouTube, it's a wonderful thing, right? And hopefully this will help some of you others if your car decides to do the same thing. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the first thing that went wrong was when I started up that morning, the speedometer wasn't working. But I've had that happen before. And it was just like, you know, I just figured, well, maybe it's, you know, it's electronic and it's 80s, so you know how that goes. So I just ignored it, and it was fine that day. But this time the speedometer wasn't working. And like I said, after driving for 5-10 minutes, it just started to fall on its face. It's weird how it didn't show up until I went to stomp it that one time, but whatever the reason. Did a little bit of research on the old web. and they're suggesting it's the speedometer sensor that does that. Well, that makes sense because the speedometer's not working, right? And I guess everything runs through the speedometer sensor, so the car knows how fast it's going. So when you stomp on the old fast pedal, it goes fast, right? Because it knows it's not going fast now, so when you stomp on it, it says go fast, and the car goes fast. So I'm thinking, okay, well now I start searching for these online, and they're running anywhere from, you know, $100 and $100+ to $400. And I'm a little bit leery about doing the cheap stuff, right? But I did find a kit that for a little over $100 that retros the 84 through 90 to use the sensor for the 91 up, 91 to 97, I guess it is, sensor. So it's like an upgrade. Maybe it's not as temperamental. Maybe I don't know what the difference is, but evidently more plentiful. Because the 84s, they are, you know, yeah, exactly. And they're different because they don't have the tune port injection. So to get this 84 to work with a later model sensor might be a good thing. Because I don't want to buy another used one. And yeah, I have a parts car, but I sold the transmission. Guess what went with it? Right? So anyhow, I'm going to try to figure out, now I don't have a part, because I don't want to go spending money on a part until I'm sure what the problem is. So I YouTubed how to do that. I was going to bring it down to my buddy, and I was going to have him put it on his scanner and see if he can't figure it out. But an 84 is not OBD2. Right? OBD2 is the diagnostic scanners of today. In the 80s, when everything was first going to electronic stuff, scanners were kind of like you had to get one for every car. You had to buy a certain chip for each car. And so it was very complex, and they were very expensive. Now everything's OBD2, so basically there's a, you know, a particular style computer reader, if you will, that can read any OBD2 program. So it plugs in and figures things out. OBD1, or the original stuff's not so. And most people don't even have it to do so. But what I found out by a YouTuber, fellow YouTuber, I'll have to give him a thank you and a like and probably subscribe to his channel just because he made me happy-ish. Assuming it works, we're going to try it. Supposedly you can jump out a couple of little, you know, doohickeys, and I'm going to show you that. And by jumping them out, it will let my car throw some codes, and they'll flash on the dash. Now, I've done some cars like that in the past, some Cadillacs, stuff like that. They do the same thing. So you just got to know where to jump it out, and I'll show you all that. And assuming, and it's going to throw some codes. Now, I got to count the numbers and figure out what the codes are. And if you don't have a book on the codes, well, you're not going to know. So I kind of put my old peepers on this guy's code book. I don't know, I'm going to try to print it. If not, I will literally just write it all down. So without the code book, it's useless, right? You don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and try to, you know, write it down or print it or figure out a way to... Well, I can only see part of his code book, but I got the important one, right? The one I need to know. And that is a number 24. And that would be the speedometer sensor. Woo! So, if I get a 24 when we do this, if it works at all, then I know it is the speedometer sensor, and then I'm going to try to use that retro sensor. I'm going to go ahead and buy it. I haven't bought it yet. So this video is going to be basically the how-to to figure it out. And then when I finally get it, we'll go ahead and put it in and, you know, figure it out after, and see if it actually worked. Okay. So I could bring it to my buddy and see if he can't figure it out for me, but I like it if I can do it better, right? Do it yourself. I had a new subscriber, young lady, and I checked out, you know, if you have a YouTube channel and you subscribe to mine, a lot of times I'll just check out your channel just to see what you got on there and who you are and all that stuff. Well, this young lady, there's in words at the top of her page, it said, "Do it yourself or die." You gotta love that, right? Do it yourself or die. So unless it's something I cannot possibly do myself, like a front end alignment, don't have the equipment, can't do it. I've done it with, you know, a measuring tape and a what do they call those squares? Like a housing square, plumbing square, whatever you call them. It's a square. It's just a big L. And I've used those. I did it on the ground. I don't think I showed you that, but it basically just leaned it up against the tire to get the tire straight up and down. It's close, you know, but I was getting some weird tire wear on a car on my BMW, so I decided to get it front end line. But I'm getting off track here. So occasionally I have no choice, and I'm super picky about other people working on my cars. So, but they did me good. I can't complain. You know, they did a good job on it so far. The car's not wearing out funny. He said it was a half a degree off. How sensitive can a car be? Jeez. Anyhow, take a breath. So anyhow, do it yourself or die, right? Love the motto. Thank you, young lady, for that motto. I would love it. We're going to go ahead and get started on this. See if I can't figure it out. I'm going to have to take it for a ride first, because, and maybe I'll take you with me, and you can see what it's doing, because I reset the codes by unplugging the battery. And so I'm going to plug it back in now, because I don't know what it is with Corvettes, but both of my Corvettes, I'm sitting underneath the red one right now, and then of course you can see the C4. They kill the batteries. So I always put a kill switch in there to kill the battery, disconnect it all together. And so with this particular car, if you disconnect the battery, it resets the computer. So let's go ahead and take it for a drive. And I'm actually going to probably head for my buddy's place and till it starts to throw the code. And then I'll turn around and come home. But if I actually get there, I might do this video at his place. And that way, if I get into trouble, we can use his scanner, if it'll even work on it. But anyway, let's go ahead and start her up, take her for a drive, see if I can't get it to repeat. With my luck, it'll probably start running good again, which means I'm screwed, because I won't be able to fix it because it won't be broke, and I'll have to wait till it breaks again. And let's see what happens. Let's go ahead and get in it, start it up, back it out, and try to get her to throw the code. Sound like a plan? Let's get started. Alrighty, we are in the car. Energize. You can't see the oh, wait a minute. Let's see now. Let the fuel pump catch up for a second. And fire. Okay, tach's not working. Speedometer's not working. Well, of course I'm not moving yet. But the tach's not working either. Okay. But she sounds and feels normal at this particular moment. So let's put on the old safety belt. And we'll start backing out. It's a little bit of a challenge to back out of this place, because we have lifts everywhere, and you have to kind of wiggle through the lifts and not hit anything in the process. So you gotta watch the old mirrors, you know. Now I've just got you looking out the window. I probably should have you looking at the dash. But there's nothing working on the dash at the moment, so I'm not sure that's even something we should waste our time doing. I've got to try to take a different bite. Here we go. Oddly enough, this car and my BMW are roughly the same width. But because the BMW's got big bumpy fenders, the cockpit's a lot smaller. Alright, here we go. So far no code. And oh, I am awfully close to that wall of the garage door here. This car is considerably longer, however, than the little Z3. But now we're good. Okay. Now I'm a couple of miles away from the garage. Oh, it looks like a couple of miles, but it's not. Things in the mirror are closer than they appear. Alright. So let's take it for... Let's back her out into the streets here. I know, watching the video of a car going in reverse. Interesting. So, now you're going to be... We're going to try to just get on it right off the bat, see if I can't get her to code out right off the bat. And that'll be a short ride. Alright, nobody coming? Nope, there's somebody coming. There's somebody in the road, so I won't be able to get on it. She's starting to run a little rough now. I can feel her missing. So So let's go ahead. Nobody coming. Alright. For the moment. Speedometer's still not working though. Got a square tire. Oh, look. Sometimes these tires, if you let them sit, you got flat spots on them. You gotta. Probably should maybe rethink this trip. I don't have my phone with me. I don't have my license with me. I think maybe I ought to turn around and get all that before I go making any kind of a trip. So far, she's running okay. Except for the speedometer and the tachometer. Oh, there it goes. Hear it? That's what I'm talking about. Alright, let's pull in somewhere and turn around. I'm not throwing a code yet. But she just missed. Alright, so now it's time to turn around and hopefully make it home before it totally conks out on me. Well, that'll teach you a little bit of something about a computer-controlled car. If you're in a computer-controlled car and the computer is or something electronic is causing the issues, then you can always unplug the battery, disconnect the battery, let it sit for a minute or so, and then when you start to go again, my fuel mileage isn't working either. It's showing all the indications of a speedometer sensor, but we're gonna figure it out for surely sure. Alright, there we go. Oh yeah, there she goes. See, she's falling on her face. Hear that? Messing all up. Doesn't want to play good. I'll stop talking, let you hear it. Slowpoke in front of me. Possible to test this car idling, which is exactly what it's going to do behind this truck. Hey, the gas pedal's on the right hand side. Try pressing it. Gee, crow. Of course, I don't have a speedometer, so I don't know how fast he's going. We're going to stop because this guy's going slower than a snail going uphill in molasses. That even makes sense. He's driving slow. I'm literally idling. Alright. There she goes. See, the car don't know what to do with itself. But it's not throwing a code yet. Oh my god. Now we got a mail truck. What the heck? Come on, I need a code. How can it not be throwing a code? code. Still no check engine light. Dadgummit. Well, I'm gonna spare you any longer, but I've got to keep driving it for a minute till I get it to throw that code, and we'll go from there. Because at the moment she's not throwing one, but she sure is running like dog poop. But I'll go ahead and shut the camera. I'm going to take it for another drive, just around the block until it throws a code. And once that happens, we'll come in and get started on figuring it out. Oddly enough, my tachometer started working. Kinda, sorta. So that's working again. Electronic stuff, yay! But no code, no check engine light yet, so I don't know what to... I got it to the floor right now. Oil pressure 62, coolant 197. In this car, the fans don't even turn on until 238. Weird, right? Oh, she won't even idle good now. Come on, give me a code, give me a code! Right here it should say check engine. And right now I've got it to the floor, and I'm revving it about 1800 RPMs. So the tach started working remarkably enough. 210 degrees. To the floor, dead. Ooh, there she goes. Idle. To the floor. Dead. Ooh, she's blowing black smoke. Well, let's see if she's throwing a code even though I'm not seeing the check engine, because I'm not going anywhere. This car won't hardly run. I'm pushing the gas pedal and nothing's happening. Now you might think it's a throttle position sensor, and if we get a 21 code, that would be the case. But I don't think it's a throttle position. Oh, geez, she's farted hard on that one because the speedometer's not working. The tach is now, so I thought maybe we had an electronics a distributor problem, but not if the tach's working. So. She is running like dog do. Put it to the floor, it just flattens right out. But no code. Maybe the code thing's burned out now. Let's go ahead and shut it off. See if it'll start back up. Oh, check engine light works. Oh! I don't know. If it's not throwing a code, I don't know how I can get it to work. Smells terrible. Why aren't you throwing a code? I mean, I literally cannot keep driving this car just to get the code. So I'm going to see if we can get it to say something, even though we don't have a check engine light. Okay. Finagling the camera for this particular part of the video is difficult, to say the least. I have to adjust it. There we go. Now we can get it at least in the center of the screen. Sorry about that. Now, I just made a staple. This is just a staple out of like a T50 staple gun. Now, you'll see there's a little nib right here. Okay, it's This is flat on the bottom. This is a little nib here. And you'll see that this is not really at a good angle, but all along the top edge there's, you know, connectors. And what I want is these last two over here. These two in the very back end. I'm going to stick this staple in it, if I can do it without knocking the camera over. Oh, or without dropping the staple. Ah, where'd it go? I dropped it. It's gone forever. Okay, now you can see I've got the paper clip in there. Well, it's a staple, but you can use a paper clip, you can use a jumper wire. Oh, and I found that other staple that I dropped. Oh, no, I didn't. That's a different one. That one went into oblivion. I had to make another one. Anyway, I've got that jumped. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put the key in the on position. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this camera back on the check engine light area. I'm going to turn the key in the on position. Now this is where it gets a little bit goofy, so we'll explain it as we go. Now I'm going to turn the key in the on position, but I'm not going to start the car. Alright, one. See how it flashed once? 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. Okay, it's going to do that 3 times. 1, 1, 2. Okay, now the next code is our code that we're looking for. 1, 1, 2. Okay, that's not the code I'm looking for. 1, 1, 2. Nope. 1, 1, 2. Well, that's basically telling me 1, 1, 2. That's 12. That just means it's setting up 1, 1, 2. So it did not work. I don't have a code. 1, 1, 2. Yep. That means the car doesn't have a code yet. That means I got to keep driving it till I get a code. So hang tight. I'm going to unplug that jumper wire and take it for some more drives until my check engine light comes on. I'm not going to lie. It was kind of a bugger to get that check engine light to come on. I drove it around, got to the point where I almost wasn't sure if I was going to make it home. And I mean, literally doing 3 miles an hour, trying to limp it home, got traffic behind me. Rather embarrassing, to say the least. But, pulled in the driveway, still no check engine light. So, I put it up on jack stands. And I put her in gear. And I found out some other stuff while I was doing it. The rear wheel bearings are shot. I had it jacked up and I heard this clunking and grinding and all this racket when I was turning the back wheels. I'm like, so I go over and I move my wheels back and forth, and yeah, the bearings are shot. So I guess we'll be doing a wheel bearing video here before long. But for now, I did get the check engine light finally. I think I ran it probably close to, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes in gear on jack stands, just letting the back tires roll and varying the RPMs. And finally, the check engine light came on. So now I've got my paper clip back in, or I call it a paper clip, it's a staple, whatever. I've got it back in, and I'm fixing to take my key, and I'm going to put it in the ignition, turn it on. I'm going to shut my fan off here. There you go, 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. So that's the initial. So now we should be getting the code. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 24. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're looking at 24. Now it should go back to the 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 again. 1, 1, 2. That's telling me we're done. We'll do it 3 times. 1, 1, 2. Again, that's telling me we're done. And then it should do it one more time. 1, and then 1, 2 again. And now if I leave it going, it'll just repeat the process. So there we go. Just as suspected, 24. 24 is the code for the speedometer sensor. But, you know, it's better to know than to just throwing parts at it. I mean, I could have thrown the part in there, would have probably been fine. But this way, now I know, without a shadow of a doubt, that that is my problem. Now, the problem is going to be finding one. Well, there you have it. We got her figured out. I suspected just from the symptoms that it was going to be that speedometer sensor. But before you go throwing that money at a car, if you got ways of doing it, check it out. I originally was going to bring it to my buddy because I figured he might have a scan tool, but I remembered when I had to check my MR2, the scan tool wasn't compatible with the OBD1 system, which is these old systems. It does the OBD2, which is the modern system. So, I YouTubed it. Best thing in the world, right? Everybody loves YouTube, or you wouldn't be watching this video. So thank you to the gentleman that I got this information from. I don't remember who it is, but it's still up on my computer right now, so I'm going to tell him thank you. And, you know, because if it wasn't for him, he kind of gave me the idea on how to do this, and he had the book, so I know what the code is. I'm going to try to copy that code down, and when we actually do the speed sensor video, when I actually go to change it, I'm going to go ahead and give you all those codes as well. In fact, I may give them to you, maybe. If I have time, I'll go in and I'll copy down what I can, and maybe I'll throw it in this video real quick. Here's all your different codes. This is the code that we got today. This is a diagram of the plug and the little jumper wire, in case you didn't get a good view of that. But I'm going to leave this just sitting here for a minute, just so you can kind of, you know, if you need to take a snapshot of that, or you want to copy it down, it'll give you a little bit of time to look at it. And I'll sing to you, la 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 la. Good music, right? Do, 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 do. So how long do you need to see what I'm talking about? Well, you probably have just until my battery runs out. How's that? Anyway, I might overwrite this and just throw music in there for you anyway. But there you go. 12 start finish, 13 O2 sensor, 14 coolant temperature high, 15 coolant temperature low, 21 throttle position sensor voltage high, 22 voltage low on the TPS. 33, I kind of flim-flam that, so it's in there twice. But 33 is a map sensor low voltage. 24 is the speed sensor, which we talked about. 34, map sensor voltage high. 42, electronic spark timing fault. That's probably somewhere in the distributor. 43, spark control fault. That may be in your computer system. 44, running lean. O2 sensor low voltage. 45, running rich. O2 sensor high. 51, prom fault. Not really sure what a prom is. To me, that's a dance with a tuxedo. But I'm sure it has something to do with the computer. I'd have to look that up. But prom fault. 55, ECM fault. Basically, your control module's shot. All right. And again, jump these two. This go make a note to that little nib right there that's on the top. And so you want to make sure you jump the two that are to the right of that little nib. And it's the last two on the end. You got all that? I guess that's all you need to know. So, and I'm not sure where I'm going to stick this in the video. I haven't edited it yet, but edited it yet. Yeah, that's it. Edited yet. Yeah, that's it. Edited it yet. Okay, there you go. Hopefully that's long enough for y'all to copy that down and or take a snapshot. And yeah, that's it. That's the end of this video. It's a nice short one. Just figuring out what's wrong with the car. It's amazing that a speedometer sensor can do that. So if you get in your C4 and you start driving on the road and realize your speedometer's not working, well, it may run good that day, because mine did the first time it did it, and then it went away. Right? They say sometimes these get dirty and you can clean them, which I am going to do that, but I'm going to order the new one anyway, because I'm going to try cleaning the old one. But then I've got, I'll have it in the back of my head that this can happen again. So what I might do is I'll clean the old one and I'll throw it in the back of the car, and that way if I'm out somewhere and it starts to mess up, I'll have a spare, basically. But I'm going to put the new one in because I just want peace of mind. But again, like I told you earlier, computer-controlled cars, if they start throwing codes, most of them, I'm not going to say all of them because I don't know on these newer cars, but most of them if you unplug the battery and wait 30 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever. I just usually count to 20 or something. I just hold it off for a minute. And then you stick it back on and then refire the car. It should zero out and put everything back to default. Now what doesn't make sense to me is if this car will run good for the first few minutes when you first plug the battery back in and can go into default, why the heck when things start messing up it doesn't just go to default and throw the code? That would make more sense, right? Because then the car would stay running fine. Of course then we'd probably never fix it. But why not just put it in default, limp mode, whatever, and that way it'll get you home, right? You know, it might say, you know, you could do it. I know we had what was it? My wife had a car that kept throwing a code. And I think it was a Mercedes, or a Mercedes. It kept throwing a code, and it said, and we called the dealer, and they said, yeah, it'll run fine for a while, but what's going to happen is eventually the computer will detect the problem and shut the car off. Just shut it down on you, so you're stuck. That's just stupid, but that's the way it is. But to me, if it could go into default and run for a short period of time, why can't it go into default and you press a button and stay in default until you can get it home? And then when you get home, you can fix it. You know what I mean? So have a little button default, whatever, to reset your computer, reboot it, whatever. But anyway, you can sit there. I think when I drove it last time, I was about 20 miles, 25 miles out, and I had to reboot my computer, unplug my battery at least once, so I could get it up the main hill coming to my house. I live on a mountain, so I had to get up the mountain. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking now. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it helped you. There will be a sequel to this when I get the part in, and we'll be putting the part in, because I'm not even sure where it goes. It's in the transmission somewhere, I know that much. I don't know if it's in the transmission or if it's on the outside where you can access it. I'm not really sure. But it's got a plug on it, so I'm thinking it's on the outside somewhere. But one way or the other, we're going to get this fixed, and I will YouTube that so you can have the sequel to this one. In fact, maybe when, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But nonetheless, thank you for watching. Please subscribe. See ya.